Happy New Year from my mother's closet. So when I first started watching this episode, I thought it was a filler episode, and you know how I feel about filler episodes. However, Bravo decided to let us know, Happy New Year, you gon' get what you're tuning for, because the last 15 minutes of this episode, girl! Well, this episode starts off with Cynthia at Dr. Kerr's. She's getting a checkup on her implants. First of all, Cynthia, great boob job. I had no idea that you had implants. Looks great, sensible, reasonable boob size. So good job for you. But she's checking up on her boob job because she got them when she was 40. Happy 40. What a happy 40th to give yourself. New boob. So she's checking up on her breast implants because she's concerned because she's had them for about 10 years because she's turning 50. Black don't crack. She invites the girls over to Dr. Kerr's, and they are all like in the doctor's office, and then they go into her consultation room. First of all, what kind of doctor or plastic surgeon is this where everybody can go into the consultation room? That's unethical, ain't it? There were like 15 people in that room checking out her breasts, and I was like, this has to be for Bravo. Even still, if it was just for cameras, I still feel like it's kind of unprofessional. Like, no, you should have like some standards and be like, no, you cannot come in. This is between me and my... I don't know. I feel like these reality shows break too many, I don't know, ethical codes for me. You know, I hate when we're in like their therapy sessions. America, the audience, the world shouldn't be in their therapy sessions, and we should not be in their consultations with like doctors. And before we move on from this breast party, I got some tea for you. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the, the day-to-day lives of reality stars, but listen. Kenya has been seen on camera waving a gun at people who are coming down to Moore Manor. You know how there are fans? Listen, ladies, you put your house where you live by yourself on national TV. Somebody's going to show up. Not everybody is tactful or classy or in their right mind. So you run that risk. This is why you should always film at rented locations. Never film at your actual house. This is reality TV. I am a viewer who is aware that a lot of this is fake. This is my generation's version of soap opera, so I don't care. However, there are some people who think that this is real life. Now, you're putting your real life home out there for the world to see. You're bragging about it. You're letting cameras into every crevice in every room. If somebody want to rape, rob, and kill you, they have the way to do it. And Bravo handed it to them with your permission. So be smart. Film at a rented location. Reality TV 101. While we're at Cynthia's consultation, before Phaedra arrives, Candy drops this little bit of tea and she starts talking about their dinner and telling all of her business. I don't like villain Candy this season. I don't like it, and I personally have reasons for not liking it, not just being a fan of the show. It's because I've been a fan of Candy since I was very young. Like, Candy for me was a part of my childhood. She was like Candy. She was a part of Escape. Escape was a huge part of my childhood. Immature was a huge part of my childhood. Destiny's Child was a huge part of my childhood. So for me, I feel like I'm watching Latavia burn it all down on national TV. And, Candy was sold to us as like the Beyonce of Escape. So, like our R&B sweetheart. So for me, I have a very different image of her from a very young girl. So I don't like seeing her like this. It's bothersome, not just on a fan level, on, someone who feels close to her, not knowing, I don't know how to explain it, but she's been like a part of my childhood. There are songs that Candy sings that the group Escape sings, and I can go back to a simpler time in my life, and I have those vivid memories. So I just have a different idea of her, and I don't like this. I don't like how horrible she's being to Phaedra, and I really need for the Bravo producers to get them editors in their rooms and start cutting up scenes or like flashbacks to explain to the viewer what's going on, because Candy just looks horrible. She looks villainous and I don't like it. So we need to get some type of understanding of what happened, because I, as a viewer, have no idea why she's going out for blood from Phaedra. And it looks horrible on her part, and I hate it. Like, if it's justified, maybe I could be like, well, Phaedra was wrong. And all I have is, Phaedra shading Todd in a confessional about looking for change in a couch. Again, funny, great shade, but it was wrong. So that I understand, but to the level that Kandi is ethering Phaedra this season, I don't understand. And she just comes off looking like a horrible person. So either clear this up, or I need to justify why she's so terrible this season, because at this point I don't understand it. I'm so disappointed. So then Phaedra shows up, and Phaedra is way too classy and above it all for me. I know she gets down low and shady, and she does ruffle my feathers later on in this episode. However, she took the high road. I would have never. Let me tell you something. Had the prior day, I was just at a dinner with somebody who used to be my best friend, who spilled all of my tea in front of, the world stage, because, that was some good tea. I knew the Bravo editors wasn't going to cut that out. So I could not have had dinner or breakfast or whatever that was the day before and then come in and hug you. You're better than me, Phaedra. I would have hugged each and every one of them women, got to her, skipped over, twirled, and hugged the next. Ah! Ah! Good on you, Phaedra, because it wouldn't have been me. Cynthia told the doctor to point out who has a boob job. And, Porsha was a great sport about it, but I would have been like, no, that's inappropriate. I just thought it was really inappropriate. And then, the Bravo cameraman gets, shots of their chests. Ugh, what? That was, y'all better than me for staying in that room, because I would have been like, cut, I'm not doing this scene. But anyway, the doctor just, points out who has, two people basically who he believes has implants, but the Bravo producers, them shady editors, let us know who have real boobs and who has implants. Good job, editors. Good job. And then the doctor gets to Kenya and says that she has implants. She's like, no, all natural. Kenya, you have got to stop lying. We're living in the time of the internet. We all have receipts. We don't care. You and them Kardashian girls have got to stop lying. You got work done. You made your own personal improvements on your body. Who cares? But it's the fact that you keep on lying about it that is so insulting. We have receipts, girl. We know what you look like before. We know those ain't your eyes. We know you putting in some tracks. We know them boobs and that butt ain't real. It looks ridiculous. And you look ridiculous at this point. Own it. Be like, yeah, I got some work done. I'm good. I'm grown and this was my money. Own it, but stop with the lies. And then you get so upset when somebody points it out. Porsha pointed it out to just joking, but it was still a little dagger, Porsha. And you got so upset, and it's just like, girl, we know. Move on. We don't care. We don't care, but we know. Listen, that robe had to come off. I wanted to stay consistent, but my mama turned up the heat, and it's hot in here. One quick thing I wanted to point out. There was a scene with Cynthia in the doctor's office, and Dr. Kerr's and the boobs thing, and all of the women were asking her questions about her boobs. The only one who has to touch them was Kandi, and she got a little feel. That scene didn't need to be in there. However, when we get to the end of this episode, now I realize why they put it in there. Go ahead, Bravo editors. Go ahead. Y'all are shady. Then we have Sheree meeting with her interior designer for Chateau Sheree. It wasn't that important, so I'm just going to move on to Kandi and her gangsta mama, Mama Joyce. They're at this jewelry store shopping for Riley, who's turning 14, and they want to get her a nice gift. Kandi brings up the fact that Block is trying to get back in Riley's life, and Riley doesn't want her to. Or Riley doesn't want to, which is understandable. It's just like, dude, I'm like, she's if I was Riley, it's just like, I'm 14. Like, what do you want now? The job is almost done. You think in your mind, especially as like a teenager, you feel like, because America has this idea where if you're 18, you're grown all of a sudden. So I can picture or see where her mind is as a kid, where it's just like, I don't need him. Like, it's a little too late. Not really knowing that it's more than enough time for you guys to establish a relationship, especially at 14. Your father really needs to establish a relationship in your life, because if not, you're probably going to end up with the same guy like him, and you want him to steer you away from men like him. So I totally understand where Riley's coming from. And I understand Candy as well, because Candy doesn't want to be like the buffer for them to have a relationship. But Candy, I think you need to be in there in the beginning, because it's awkward with Riley. You know Block better than Riley. So she wants you there as a buffer and as a protector, because that's who you've been her whole life. You've been her protector. You know, you've been her caretaker, and she just feels comfortable probably with you there when she meets or starts to build this relationship with her father, because she doesn't know him, she knows you, and she knows that you'll protect her if anything happens. Then Candy and Mama Joy start talking about Phaedra. I feel like Candy has so much going on. New wife, new mom. Why is Phaedra your storyline? This is so horrible. Every scene that Candy is in, it's about dragging Phaedra. And Mama Joyce too. That's the only reason why she has so much camera time on this season, because it's their storyline as a mother and daughter is to drag Phaedra, and it's just so sad. I get it if Candy has issues with Phaedra, but her mom being involved, it's uncomfortable. It's just not something I want to watch. You don't want to watch an older woman talk about a younger woman like that. You feel like, or we're raised to believe that older people are in a wise position because they've lived some years before us. So you would think that they would carry themselves a certain way, and Mama Joyce is just not showing it on this season, and it's disappointing. I don't know why mother and daughter would even agree to this storyline, especially Candy. I'm like, do you need the money really for this show? I know that the Real Housewives of Atlanta is a good like look for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good hour-long commercial for you and everything that you're doing, but like this season you're not showing it. You're just being like really messy with your mom. And, you know, when they do get you working, you're not really working, like your staff is dragging Phaedra. It's just a bad look. Maybe that's in your contract that you can't be the good girl for, you can be the good girl for only as many episodes. But I just don't know why you guys will agree to this, because it just looks horrible on you guys this season. And no tea, no shade, but I feel like Mama Joyce hasn't been cool with Phaedra since she brought that stripper to Candy's sex toy party who sucked his own penis in front of her. She has not liked Phaedra since. See, you got to make a good impression on them parents. She hasn't liked her since that. She was distraught when that young boy pulled his genitals up and started sucking in front of her. And you know what? Who wouldn't be? Who would be attracted to that? Atlanta is freaky. No, Candy is freaky. You too, Phaedra, with this Southern Belle mess. See, the problem is y'all both freak-a-leaks, and that's what you bonded on. But you can't bond on freakness for too long. I hate that this friendship is falling apart, but it's dead and done at this point. Dead and done. Then we cut back to Cynthia, who is killing it in her confessionals, by the way. That Beyonce gold member work it out wig. Yes, Miss Cynthia. Since Cynthia has been on this show, she has slayed in her scenes and in her confessionals. Y'all need to learn. All you housewives need to learn. Cynthia and Dorinda from the Real Housewives of New York City, they have always slayed. They look flawless in every scene and in every confessional. Get like Cynthia and Dorinda. Learn some things, housewives. Learn some things. Then we have this really touching scene with Peter and Noelle. They go to yoga and they have a little bonding time, and then after they have this really heartfelt conversation. And I thought it was so sweet, because honestly, the way this show is filmed and edited, I mean, I like it, but I felt like Peter and Noelle's relationship was just cut out, because the way this little girl felt for Peter. I had no idea. I didn't see it. You know what I mean? Like, we're only allowed into a few moments of their lives. So what the editors piece together, that's the storyline that we get from them. And to see her just being so upset about Peter not being in her life, and she's like, you were like my second, father figure. And oh, that just hurt me, because I feel like, personally, I feel like a lot of stepfathers and stepparents, period, don't really know how they affect the children whose lives they're coming into. And I guess it's because, those kind of relationships it's like muddy waters, because you don't want to get too close, and because of their birth parent. It's just a weird situation. I get it's difficult for step parents and the children alike. So I really liked having that moment with Peter and Noelle, because I thought it was really sweet. She said, everybody forgot about me. Nobody decided to ask me in this relationship. And it was also nice to see Peter be human, because he is always very nasty. You never see him have a good time, even in person. I met him and Nene and Cynthia at an event, but I'll tell you about that later. It was just nice to see Peter be human, or look like he had a soul and a heart. It was just nice to see him get so choked up about Noelle. Having said that, listen, I told y'all before, Bravo, this is train wreck TV. I don't want to be coming on here and watching this show and feeling like the only emotion I want to feel is like joy and laughter. I want to be cracking up, having a good time. This is why I miss Nene Leakes. I'm not a fan of Nene. I'm not a stan of Nene. I met her in person. However, she was good TV. She was so funny. Her shade was so hysterical. Her confessionals, you be dying. Her facial expressions. I really want her to come back on this show, because she elevates the train wreck TV-ness, if I'm explaining myself clearly. So I really miss her presence. Because this scene with Noelle and Peter, it was sweet, it was nice, but I didn't need it. I felt like it should have been on another show. Not on this. Not on Bravo. Not on The Real Housewives. Any franchise. I don't want to hear about a cancer story. I don't want to hear about sickly kids. Give me the shady drama. This is supposed to be Dynasty. Give me Dynasty. And we get this yoni egg scene with Porsha and her friend Shamira. Again, I didn't need this. There's just some stuff that, the viewers don't need to know. Porsha, we don't need to see you putting some sanded crystal in your vagina and spitting it out. What? It was just uncomfortable. I don't know how putting an egg in your vagina makes it stronger. Like, Porsha wasn't even dressed for this, to be quite honest. This, rainbow outfit that she had on was not even appropriate for this yoni egg exercise. Come to think of it, they were all in bodycon dresses. What? No. Didn't need it. But what we did need was Sheree coming in and stirring up the pot, because she comes in and starts telling her that she talked to Candy about the issues that she was having with Phaedra. Like, Phaedra was telling everybody's business. And this is when Porsha, became like the star of this season for me, because she came out and she was just like, listen, that's nobody's business. You should have known. You shouldn't be saying that. Like, you should not know that. And she was really disappointed in Candy for spilling Phaedra's tea, because Porsha is a real friend. She's a real friend. She's the type of girl who, even if you fall out with, she's not going to tell your business to the world. Take note, Candy. And then Shamira, her girlfriend, tries to jump in and say that Phaedra was trying to get her husband. Girl, what? You not going to get a peach. You not. You always going to be friend. Stop it. Stop it. We don't believe you. Even if it was true, it was just like, your delivery was so unbelievable. Get out of here. It's Riley's birthday. Nothing really amazing happened in this scene, but I just wanted to talk about it because Riley is really growing up. And I don't know, I felt some sort of way because I feel like I've watched her grow into being a woman, and she's so adorable. She's starting to look just like Candy, because for a moment I was just like, who is Riley's dad? Because he took all of the genes. Like, Riley to me didn't look like Candy at all, but now that she's growing up, she's getting a little browner. She's thinning out. She's starting to look like Candy. Oh, happy birthday, Rah Rah. Aunt Nikki is so proud of the woman that you are becoming. The grave you dig for me, you better dig a double one, 'cause you might fall in first. Ooh! So then, Phaedra, Porsha, and Sheree meet. And this is when Phaedra drops all of Candy's tea. Let me tell you something. This episode was cute, but the last 15 minutes, fire. Both of them came out guns blazing. Candy and Phaedra, pop, 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 pop. Shots fired. Messy Sheree starts telling Phaedra about all the stuff that Candy was saying about their dinner, whatever that meeting that Candy and Phaedra had. And Phaedra was just like, I don't know why she's just so angry at me. If we're no longer friends, we're no longer friends. It's over, right? I don't get it either. Like, I don't understand. The viewers, we don't know, Bravo, Candy, we don't know. You might have a valid reason to be so nasty and so rude to Phaedra this season. We don't know. So tell them, Bravo editors, to get that footage off the floor if it's there, and let us know, because even when you were at that dinner with Porsha and Sheree, or brunch or whatever, the bully confrontation that Porsha wanted the dinner to be, but it wasn't that, because Candy just cussed you out and left. Anyway, Candy, the only thing you talked about was how Phaedra was just saying that you shouldn't work with Todd, and everything was just back to Todd, and I get it. New wives, man, new wives be hella extra. I totally understand that you didn't like, the things she said about your husband. However, if what you're going back to is the things that Phaedra said about Todd in the confessional and in the scenes or whatever, if that's your only bit of proof that she's been so terrible to you, then you might want to come back with something else, because you both were horrible. So every footage, every scene or whatever of her saying something, it's just her by herself saying something. You know what I mean? It's you, Todd, your mama, your cackle of non-working banshees at that job of yours talking about her. So it always looks outnumbered, and you never come out on top because you just look so bad. It's like a group of you talking about this one person, and she's saying these things, how it's edited in defense of herself. So if there is something more that you two went through, you gotta let us in on the tea, because you're looking horrible. But I digress. Then Sheree talks about how Shamira or Shamika, Shamaya, whoever Porsha's friend is, saying that Phaedra was trying to steal her husband. Then Miss Phaedra drops the bomb of all bombs. Oh, please. Her and Candy are just whatever that was. And I was like, what? Oh, they close like that? Basically, Phaedra just says that they're swingers. That her and Todd, that Candy and Todd are like getting around town with all these couples. And you know what, Candy? If you weren't candy-coated nights and sex toy Candy, I wouldn't believe it. But girl, you have a side and you have let us in. So, people could be like, Candy and Todd, they be banging lambs and donkeys. We'll believe it, because you come off so freaky. To close out this episode, we have this meeting that I talked about previously, where Sheree brings Candy and Porsha together, the bully intervention that Porsha tried to call it. And she wants to basically talk about the issues that the group is having. To be quite honest, Sheree is just messy, and she just wanted to be in the middle of the mess. This is Sheree's, this is her storyline this season. Chateau Sheree in mess, because she's involved in all of the mess, but she's not like the problem, you know what I mean? But she'll drop a doozy. Andrew Cole, she'll drop a doozy, and then she'll walk away and she'll look and see what's going on. She's a mess storm this season. Anyway, so she brings Porsha and Candy together and try to talk about their issues. And Porsha, I really love how you're standing up for Phaedra at this brunch or whatever. I don't know. You ladies stay having these daytime, you know, lunch meetings and never eating. Won't be me. If I'm getting a free meal on Bravo's dime, I'm getting lobster every time. Every time. So Porsha is defending Phaedra and saying you shouldn't say those things. She first tried to make it about herself and say, oh, I didn't like the fact that you were saying that I had sex with Block. And Candy was like, you did. Okay. So nasty, Candy. If she did, the girl don't want the world to know. So this is going to be good TV for us, but this is where it gets messy because they're now breaking out of like reality TV fakeness. And they're starting to put real business out there. And these storylines will start to get real, but it's going to be to the point where it's the point of no return. You know what I mean? Like when you start putting like real life out there, because in these reality shows, they fight and they're fine or whatever. And the next day they're cool. And we're like, oh my goodness, but she said this. And a lot of times, guys, it's not real. It's fake. It's a storyline. These women are now going into a territory where they're telling their real business. And it's going to get messy. But it's going to be great TV for us. So in closing, Porsha, I think you're a good friend. You're a ride or die friend. I feel like you're a good friend to Phaedra when the cameras are rolling and when they're off. However, this ain't your fight. And Candy is on a warpath right now. So if you don't want her dropping your tea, back off. But I feel like you are so loyal to Phaedra that you'll continue to get involved. And I feel like it's going to get messy this season. I feel like it's going to be a force. It's going to be Porsha and Phaedra against Candy and her mama. And this is going to be messy. Again, good TV, but ooh, mind your business because she's dropping real life tea and you don't want her to come after you. Candy is on a warpath. Get out of her path at this moment. Let her calm down. Let her be in love in that marriage. Right now she's on like new wife flow. So she's going to be a lot for a minute until Todd starts getting on her nerves and that baby, you know, starts draining her energy. So chill out. Leave Candy alone. Next week's episode is going to be good. Hella messy, hella ratchet, hella while we tune in. Take that, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because you have had far too many filler episodes for it to be okay. Now, I like what Real Housewives of Atlanta are doing. That's why they're number one. Because these producers are starting to give me something. Now I'm looking forward to tuning in. Now I'm planning my next Sunday because I'm just like, I don't want to miss this. I need to be live tweeting with the fans because it's going to be messy. Porsha's fine little black Samoan boyfriend is going to be back. They have a cute little scene together. I like this couple. I really hope they go the distance. Bob is back. He's sweating all over the place. Welcome back, Bob. And then Candy, it looks like she gets into it with some guy that does work for her. And then the dude goes to Phaedra for representation against Candy. Now, that might not be what happens because, again, them Bravo editors are geniuses. That might not be what happens. If it is or if it isn't, I'm still tuning in because it looked like it's going to be juicy. And I'll see you next week. One thing I forgot, Matt is coming back on again, and him and Kenya are doing this abuser storyline. No, kill this. Please, Bravo, kill this season. I don't like where it's going, and I feel bad because Kenya is trying to be this domestic violence victim this season, and I don't believe it. And I always feel so horrible, like, oh my goodness, I should always believe a woman, but she is so manipulative. Fundamentally manipulative that I just don't believe it. And I don't like, I get that Matt has problems, but I just don't feel like this tall built black dude should be on this show giving off this image. We already deal with enough. We don't need him furthering a horrible lava stereotype of us being brutes. So let's just kill this. Please. That's the only thing I'm not looking forward to next week. But I'll be there for Candy and Phaedra. Get at me!